This is Part 2, Episode 3. Darkness enveloped the vast land and the ancient battlefields. Night scene looked especially gloomy and depressing. A full moon hung high in the distant horizon. The full moon appeared to be dark red in color, as if it was covered with countless layers of fresh blood, giving one a run of goosebumps on his or her skin. The dark reddish moonlight spilled down from the sky and illuminated the vast ravaged land. Deep and low roars resounded in succession through the vast land. Amongst these roars, there existed a thick scent of insanity and hysteria. The nighttime of the ancient battlefield was the time that humans were forbidden to roam around. In the assembly point city, Lin Dong sat cross-legged in his stone chamber silently. Traces of devouring power were pervading quietly through the air. The yuan power contained between heaven and earth was pouring into Lin Dong's body steadily. As these yuan power continuously flowed into Lin Dong's body, there were faint strains of red-colored energy gathering around his body as well. Even though these strains of red-colored energy were not vigorous, they displayed terrifying speed of vibrations and gave off intense heat. These strains of red-colored energy were exactly Nirvana Chi. From a certain perspective, Nirvana Chi was much more complicated and profound than yuan power. This kind of energy had numerous miraculous applications, such as tempering and refining the yuan power, and cleansing one's physical body. However, due to the might of the Nirvana Chi, a lot of elites who had not entered the Nirvana stage did not dare to absorb it without constraint. That was because their bodies could not withstand a huge amount of Nirvana Chi. Thus, these people could only absorb and refine a small amount of Nirvana Chi at a time. Most of them used the Nirvana Chi to refine and create the Nirvana pills, which could be used for attacking the Nirvana stage. However, Lin Dong did not really bother about such concerns. After all, he possessed the devouring ancestral symbol. This allowed him to devour any forms of energy, even the Nirvana Chi by force. As the faint red glow flickered around Lin Dong's body, a fine creaking sound could be heard. These Nirvana Chi had permeated Lin Dong's skin and flesh. The blazing energy that accompanied the Nirvana Chi had increased Lin Dong's powers, bit by bit as if a transformation was taking place. With this rate of increase in his strength, it would not take long for Lin Dong to step into the advanced manifestation stage. When that time comes, any practitioners under the Nirvana stage would not be his match. After a long period of time, the boiling yuan power around Lin Dong's body began to simmer down, and the red glow flickering around his body began to dim as well. Lin Dong's tightly shut eyes opened up gradually. In the darkness, two red glows flashed upon Lin Dong's eyes, seemingly tearing apart the darkness. As he opened his eyes, Lin Dong exhaled a breath of heated white gas. With a flip of his palm, 10 fiery red and perfectly round Nirvana pills appeared on his palm. These Nirvana pills were made up of the leftover Nirvana Chi in Lin Dong's body that had not been refined after he had devoured them. If he was to take this handful of Nirvana pills out, it would draw countless shocking looks. After all, even an advanced manifestation stage practitioner like Mo Ling could only refine up to 3 Nirvana pills in one night. However, Lin Dong could easily produce 10 Nirvana pills using just the leftover Nirvana Chi in his body in one night. His speed in producing the Nirvana pills was universally shocking. However, even with such a petrifying speed, Lin Dong was not satisfied. He shook his head slightly and muttered, "All along in this assembly point, I still don't dare to unleash the full power of the devouring ancestral symbol. Otherwise, how could my reward be this little?" Lin Dong's demand for the Nirvana pills was much more higher than ordinary people. Not only did he need to prepare a large amount of Nirvana pills for himself, he also needed enough Nirvana pills to cleanse the blood-soul puppet. However, the amount of Nirvana pills that he currently possessed was far from enough for any of the two objectives he had. The nighttime in the ancient battlefield is indeed scary. Lin Dong leaped out of his stone bed and looked at the curtain of night that was sprinkled with dark reddish moonlight. There was a solemn look on his face. Under the illumination of such moonlight, he could feel that the yuan power contained between heaven and earth were congregating and caused his movements to be sluggish. Even the flow of yuan power in his body was much more slower than it was in the daytime. This was the third night that Lin Dong spent in the ancient battlefield. It had been 3 days since they arrived in the assembly point city. During these 3 days, he had not been in contact with anyone. Naturally, Mo Ling had done a great job in gathering intelligence. Hence, right now, he roughly knew a thing or two about the city. Currently, the overlord of this assembly point city was the members from the Saint Light Empire. Lin Dong had never heard of this empire before, but their strength was indeed the most powerful among all the empires here. According to the intelligence gathered, the Saint Light Empire entered the ancient battlefield with 20 participants. 7 of these people had reached the advanced manifestations stage, while their strongest member had already reached the apex of advanced manifestations stage. This was enough for them to look down on everyone. This kind of capabilities and lineup was sufficient in deterring the members from other empires to plot against them. At the same time, in order to become the overlord of this assembly point, the Saint Light Empire collected nirvana pills from anyone who sought shelter in the city as a form of payment. Honestly speaking, this action was no different from the concept of collecting protection fees. Even though the Saint Light Empire was tyrannical in their actions, they actually were capable of oppressing the geniuses from other empires given that they were short-handed. Hence, they roped in people who fawned upon them. This way, no one would dare to oppose them. After all, everyone were not familiar with the ancient battlefield. The nighttime in this place was enough to create fear in people. If they lost the protection of the city, they would most likely end up as for the demonic beasts. Due to these reasons, the members of the Saint Light Empire were flamboyant and overbearing in this assembly point. However, most people did not dare to voice out their anger and grievances. With regards to this situation, Lin Dong kept an attitude of a bystander. During these 3 days, they also came into conflicts with the Saint Light Empire's members, but they chose to bear with it in the end. He understood that, in order to distinguish himself in the ancient battlefield, he must abandon the protection of the city and ventured alone into the wilderness of this land to experience the nature's temperings. If he continued to hide here, he would become the most useless entity in this land. Lin Dong had already made up his mind. After he stepped into the advanced manifestation stage, he would leave this place and carried on with his own solo training. Even if the danger factor of this plan was high, he had to do it. As long as he was with Mo Ling and the rest, he could not execute most of his moves and this restricted his movements. Of course, before he left, he had to get rid of one problem. Lin Langtian. Lin Dong's eyes became slightly gloomy. Ever since they entered the ancient battlefield, Lin Langtian had become extremely quiet. That kind of behavior seemed to show that the latter had forgotten about his feud with Lin Dong. However, not only did such behavior not set Lin Dong's mind at rest, instead, it increased his killer intent deeply. That was because he clearly knew that given Lin Langtian's temperament and nature, an arch-enemy like him must be killed as soon as possible. Wait until you have stepped into the advanced manifestation stage, then you should be able to use the devouring ancestral symbol to stop the nighttime's effects on you. When that moment comes, the ancient battlefield's nighttime can no longer suppress your powers. The ancient battlefield is extremely weird. If you roam around the area and train, it will benefit you greatly. Yet, if you stay here and hide, you will be a useless fool forever. Little Martin laughed as he appeared on Lin Dong's shoulder and gazed upon the dark reddish night scene. Lin Dong nodded his head slightly. With regards to this land, his mind was filled with extreme curiosity. Be extra careful tonight. I can feel that the energy contained between heaven and earth is much more stronger than usual. Furthermore, a lot of auras have appeared outside of this city, little Martin suddenly said as he took a glance into the distance. Upon hearing these words, Lin Dong startled and his eyelids suddenly twitched. His eyes were filled with intense shock. He then looked outside and lowered his volume and said, "Is the demonic horde coming?" The demonic horde was an extremely terrifying disaster in the ancient battlefield. During the nighttime, numerous demonic beasts would gather. Then, like a locust swarm, they would destroy everything in their paths. During Lin Dong's 3-day stay in this city, he had seen some smaller-scale demonic hordes, which were easily repelled. However, the incoming demonic horde did not appear to be small in size. Okay, I shouldn't be wrong. We should be extra careful. As compared to the Great Yang Empire, the demonic beasts in the ancient battlefield are much more fierce and tough. Even an advanced manifestation stage practitioner will face certain death if he or she gets caught in the demonic horde, little Martin explained. Lin Dong nodded his head as his eyes surged with somberness. He then looked across the outside of the city. In the distant darkness, there appeared to be numerous glints of scarlet which brought fear to one's heart. After a moment, these glints of scarlet became more and more distinct. At this moment, the vast land shuddered slightly. It was as if the entire city trembled slightly. Since the city was filled with capable individuals, when the vast land trembled and an ear-piercing siren rang throughout the city, waves of vigorous aura erupted. Human silhouettes were seen jumping up and appearing on the city walls. When they saw a wave of endless and densely packed demonic horde, numerous faces turned pale white. Just as the entire city sank into chaos, Lin Dong exhaled deeply. He knew that the first problem he would encounter upon entering the ancient battlefield had finally come. As the ground shook, several vicious and savage growls echoed out at the same time. Instantly, the entire city began to tremble due to this massive sound wave. Meanwhile, a blood moon was hung up in the sky, while streams of blood-red moonlight poured down and added an additional vicious tinge to that demon horde. On top of the city wall, almost everyone had dashed on top of it. As they stared at that never-ending demon horde outside of the city wall, all of their faces turned extremely grim. Thankfully, most of them were fairly capable. Therefore, even though they were stunned by this sight, they did not panic. Lin Dong also leapt onto the city wall that was closest to his stone hut. As he cast his gaze out of the city wall, a blood-red hue filled his sight, until it eventually extended till the limits of his vision. Those blood-red were formed from countless blood-red ape eyes, while an exceedingly overwhelming vicious aura shot through the sky, causing the blood-red moon to be dyed even more blood-red. It was difficult for one to imagine just how many demonic beasts were gathered outside of the city. Just as Lin Dong was shocked by this demon horde, countless splitting wind sound echoed out from behind him. Then, Mo Ling and the rest quickly dashed behind him. However, when they saw the demon horde flooding towards the city, all of them involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they had ever witnessed such a terrifying demon horde. This is going to be troublesome. This time around, the demon horde is much larger compared to 2 days before. If we are negligent, the city would crumble and countless people would lose their lives. Mo Ling's expression was solemn as he said. Du Yun and Man Shan also nodded their head, while a tinge of shock flashed across their eyes. If this city was destroyed, they would lose their final shield. At that time, even a Nirvana stage practitioner would be endangered if he faced such an overwhelming flood of demons. Brother Lin Dong, what should we do? Mo Ling glanced at Lin Dong and asked for his opinion. Let's observe the situation first. Though it is a huge demon horde, we have quite a lot of men in the city. Therefore, it is not impossible for us to last till daybreak tomorrow. Lin Dong contemplated for a moment before he said. Yes. When he heard Lin Dong's words, Mo Ling and the rest gently nodded their head. Only Lin Langtian's face was cold, while a venomous tinge occasionally flashed across his eyes. However, he did not speak up. Growl. Just as Lin Dong and the rest finished speaking, a series of earth-shattering growls suddenly erupted from within the demon horde. Then, a series of commotions erupted within the demon horde. Immediately, Lin Dong's attention turned to look at the source of the commotion, before a solemn glint flashed across his eyes. At that spot, he could sense a few exceedingly savage aura. Those auras were far more powerful than ordinary demonic beasts. Based on their estimates, they could even match up to a Nirvana stage practitioner. Lin Dong's pupils gently shrunk, while he waved his sleeves. Immediately, little flame darted out from his sleeves, before it shook its body and transformed into battle mode. It seemed pretty impressive. Right now, even if it fought against an advanced manifestation practitioner, Little Flame would not lose out at all. Therefore, it was of great help to Lin Dong. Everyone, do not panic. Just as Lin Dong summoned Little Flame, on the spire in the middle of the city, several powerful auras suddenly erupted in that spot. Following which, all the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners dashed out before they hovered in mid-air. Meanwhile, their loud roars resonated in everyone's ears. Though this demon horde is massive, as long as everyone here obeys our Sacred Light Empire, we can survive this disaster. An advanced manifestation practitioner pridefully scanned the city before he shouted out. With the Sacred Light Empire guarding this area, we can definitely defeat this demon horde. After the elite Sacred Light Empire practitioners spoke, several people immediately responded. Those people had long sided with the Sacred Light Empire, and they were purposely putting up a show in this city. With regards to the dominance of the Sacred Light Empire, several elite practitioners were unhappy with it. However, none of them dared to voice out their objections. In a few days' time, the Sacred Light Empire had already established their dominance. Of course, blood had to be spilled in order for them to do so. 2 days ago, 2 new advanced manifestation practitioner attempted to fight with a peak manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. However, that Sacred Light Empire practitioner only used a single palm attack to instantly slaughter those two advanced manifestation practitioner right in front of the city. After that, no one dared to challenge the Sacred Light Empire. After all, the latter's strength far exceeds theirs. When they saw that no one in the city dared to object against them, the elite Sacred Light Empire's practitioners were all grinning with joy. Promptly, they spread themselves out and each took charge of a section of the city, just like they all were all commanding officers. Snort, it's that annoying fellow. Mo Ling stared at a figure that was heading towards them, while his expression gently changed as he chuckled. Lin Dong turned to look only to see that a man dressed in golden robes, who's standing on top of a tower. His face was filled with overwhelming arrogance. After these few days, he believed that they were the overlords of this domain. Therefore, in their opinion, everyone else is a subordinate. Furthermore, Lin Dong knew that the man dressed in golden robes was called Xia Huang. He was also a new advanced manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire. Moreover, that man knew manifestation martial arts and he was extremely powerful. In fact, most ordinary advanced manifestation practitioner could hardly match up against him. Therefore, this man was extremely arrogant. Of course, the most important thing was that he had a grudge against Mo Ling and the rest. The incident occurred 2 days ago, when Lin Dong first arrived in the city, and Man Shan was out hunting for information. As he was unable to stand Xia Huang's arrogant attitude, he involuntarily grumbled. However, he never expected Xia Huang to actually hear him. Immediately, he was embarrassed and attacked him and nearly wounded Man Shan. Thankfully, Mo Ling followed behind and managed to halt Xia Huang. However, by doing so, they also offended this Sacred Light Empire practitioner. Therefore, they were subsequently troubled by that fellow. Nonetheless, owing to the formidable strength of the Sacred Light Empire, Mo Ling could only choose to bear with it. Xia Huang stepped on the tower, while a dozen elite practitioners followed behind him. These were the other powerful practitioners that had sided with the Sacred Light Empire. At the same time, he glanced outside of the city, while his eyes were filled with a solemn expression. Master Xia Huang, this is a pretty huge demon horde. If we fought against it, we would surely suffer. Behind Xia Huang, a powerful practitioner was slightly pale as he said. What is there to be afraid of? There are countless elite practitioners in the empire gathered here. Now that the demon horde has arrived, just let them fight against. It does not matter how many casualties they suffer. In fact, after they grow weaker, it would decrease the odds of them standing up against our Sacred Light Empire. In the future, all of them would obediently become our pill slave and donate all their nirvana pills. When he heard his words, Xia Huang chuckled. Master is wise indeed. When he heard how vicious Xia Huang's words were, the other elite practitioners hastily responded respectfully. It seems like the aura in that direction is more vicious than the rest. There must be a few powerful demonic beasts in that demon horde. Xia Huang's eyes swept across the outer regions of the city. Promptly, his attention shifted before he saw Mo Ling and the rest standing on top of the high wall. Immediately, a venomous glint flashed across his eyes. Mo Ling and the rest of you from Great Yang Empire, join the others and guard the northwest city wall. You must stop the demon horde and prevent them from entering the city. Xia Huang's cold shout sounded out in mid-air, before it echoed out in Mo Ling and the rest's ears. Immediately, their expression changed. They naturally felt that the aura stemming the northwest direction of the demon horde was exceedingly powerful. Now that Xia Huang had instructed them to head towards that direction, he was evidently trying to use these demonic beasts to slaughter them. Xia Huang, do you really think that we are your subordinates? Du Yun chuckled. Fools. In this assembly point, my Sacred Light Empire is the overlord. If you dare to object, we will chase you out of the city immediately and throw you into the demon horde and let them devour you. Xia Huang's expression darkened as he shouted out. You bloody bastard, how dare you command us? What do you think you are? Man Shan was extremely outraged. Evidently, he was severely impacted by Xia Huang's words. Be quiet. The Sacred Light Empire is extremely powerful, and it is extremely disadvantageous for us to clash with them. Though Mo Ling's expression was grim, he chose to halt Duyun and Man Shan, as he softly said. When they heard his words, Duyun and Man Shan could not grit their teeth in rage. After all, they understood that there were too many powerful practitioners in Sacred Light Empire. Furthermore, they had also recruited several elite practitioners from other empires. Most importantly, that peak manifestation practitioner from Sacred Light Empire was simply too powerful. In fact, he could easily slaughter several advanced manifestation practitioners alone. Based on their current lineup, even if all 5 of them fought against them, they would likely fail. As he stared at an outraged Man Shan and the rest, Lin Dong chose to quietly stand aside and he did not speak up. However, a cold tinge flashed across his slightly sunken eyes. That Xie Huang was simply too overbearing. On top of the tower, when Xie Huang saw Mo Ling and the rest quieten down, he raised his eyebrows before he chuckled callously, snort, a pile of useless garbage. What is this great Yang Empire? I have never heard of it before. How dare you attempt to challenge my sacred light empire? Fools. When they heard his words, Mo Ling and the rest's expressions turned exceedingly grim. However, just as rage overwhelmed their hearts, a figure slowly walked out from behind them. Then, his casual words caused their hearts to tremble. That was because they knew that Lin Dong was finally going to make a move. Against such an insolent garbage, patience would not solve the problem, brother Lin Dong. The Mo Ling trio were taken aback when they saw Lin Dong walk out from behind them. Soon after, Mo Ling spoke in a low voice, "The Saint Light Empire's strength is tyrannical. It will likely be very unbeneficial for us to go against them." Although Mo Ling was extremely furious in his heart at the people from the Saint Light Empire, he knew that the latter's strength was indeed overwhelming. If they really clashed against the latter, they would be the ones to lose out. Brother Mo Ling, you've also said before that though it is admittedly needed to be low-key in the ancient battlefield, being too low-key will instead bring about endless trouble. Lin Dong's voice was calm as he replied. Upon hearing this, Mo Ling bitterly laughed. He was not being low-key. With his strength, he knew that he was not weaker than any of the advanced manifestation stage practitioners in the Saint Light Empire, but the number of advanced manifestation stage practitioners the other side had was not just one. More importantly, they even possessed an elite peak manifestation practitioner. He had seen that person act that day, and he was indeed powerful without equal. Even Mo Ling would find it difficult to contend. If put in the Great Yang Empire, every one of these Saint Light Empire practitioners would be top-tier existences. The secret arts they cultivated, their martial arts and even soul treasures they wielded were all rather powerful. The fighting strength of every one of them far surpassed that of same-level practitioners. This point alone was enough to prove that the Saint Light Empire's strength definitely far exceeded the Great Yang Empire. Hence, in the face of the powerful Saint Light Empire, it was not that they were being low-key, but they were simply unable to contend and could only endure in silence. You actually dare to say that I am trash? However, while Mo Ling was bitterly laughing, atop the high tower, Xie Huang's eyes instantly turned dark. He stared daggers at Lin Dong as a shrilly voice sounded out. Looks like you country bumpkins are truly becoming rather ballsy. An initial manifestation stage trash dares to challenge my Saint Light Empire. Good. I coincidentally find all of you rather tough on the eyes. I'll directly kill all of you and hang you on the city walls. Let's see who else dares to be rude to my Saint Light Empire in future. Arrest all of these trash from the Great Yang Empire. As Xie Huang's stern command faded, the dozen or so practitioners behind him maliciously looked towards Lin Dong and his party. Vigorous yuan power undulations slowly spread outwards as their figures swiftly dashed forth, surrounding and trapping Lin Dong and gang. Upon seeing this, the Mo Ling trio's expressions changed. Soon after, they stepped forward and vigilantly watched the situation. However, just as a fight was about to break out, a world-shaking roar suddenly sounded out outside the city. The ground started to shake as the scarlet-red demonic horde surged forward. Like a bloody wave, they swept towards the city. The sight of 10,000 demonic beasts charging made many people's legs turn to jelly. The demonic horde attack also caused Xie Huang and the rest's expression to change. He looked outside the city before venomously staring at Lin Dong. Brat, looks like you have some good luck now. However, when the demonic horde has been defended, I will make all of you beg for death. As his sinister voice faded, Xie Huang's gaze immediately turned somewhere else as shouts echoed out, ordering all the practitioners to resist the demonic horde. Lin Dong icily gazed at Xie Huang's figure, thick killing intent gushing in his eyes. In his heart, the favorable opinion he had of the Saint Light Empire faded. These fellows were really too disgusting. Brother Lin Dong, let us first defend against the demonic horde. If it is truly no good, we will leave this place as early as possible. Mo Ling softly sighed. Now that they had fallen out with Xie Huang, it would be very difficult to continue on in this place. After taking care of the demonic horde, they would take the opportunity to leave, or else, once the Saint Light Empire intended to deal with them, given their few numbers, it would likely be a disaster. In response to Mo Ling's words, Lin Dong did not comment. The Saint Light Empire was indeed very powerful. A peak manifestation stage, 7 advanced manifestation stage, while the rest were all at the initial manifestation stage. Such a lineup could indeed be considered as overwhelming. Yet, this was an enemy Lin Dong could afford to have. If the Saint Light Empire was not tactful, he did not mind letting a true massacre happen. With these thoughts, a vicious glint flitted across Lin Dong's eyes. His character was originally one that would not offend others if others did not offend him. Yet, since Xia Huang took the initiative to find trouble with Lin Dong, don't blame him for being vicious and merciless. The demonic horde is coming, pay attention. While the vicious light flickered in Lin Dong's eyes, Mo Ling's voice echoed in his ear. Lin Dong turned around and sure enough, the enormous demonic horde was already battering at the city walls. As the demonic horde charged at them, countless vigorous Yuan power attacks instantly erupted from the top of the city walls, directly turning some of the demonic beasts at the front to a bloody pulp. However, although the attacks from the city walls were ferocious, the demonic horde seemed to have no end. In the blink of an eye, demonic beasts smashed into the city walls one after another. The low thudding sounds seemed to slam into everyone's hearts, causing their breathing to become sluggish. Roar! Scarlet-red demonic beasts catapulted up the city wall with astonishing jumping power, opening their huge mouths to reveal the sinister white fangs within as they bit at the people on the city wall. Some demonic beasts had charged up the city wall. Although they were smashed to pulp by numerous attacks in the blink of an eye, the bloody smell that spread outwards instead excited the demonic beasts below, causing them to become even more ferocious. Several demonic beasts also charged up the city wall where Lin Dong and the rest were on. However, the beasts were swiftly killed. Yet, the endless momentum caused their eyebrows to furrow tightly. Bang! Lin Dong caught a demonic beast that was pouncing over with his hand as a force flew out from the center of his palm and directly burst apart the demonic beast's head. Just as he was about to casually throw it away, he suddenly felt an energy undulation. Immediately, a suction force erupted from the center of his palm as a scarlet-red object shot out from the demonic beast's head. Lin Dong caught the scarlet-red object and took a look at it, discovering that it was something similar to a demonic crystal. However, there were traces of fiery red energy within this demonic crystal. The ancient battlefield demonic beast demonic crystal actually contains nirvana energy. When he sensed that sliver of fiery red energy, astonishment flitted across Lin Dong's eyes. No wonder the bodies of the demonic beasts here were as tough as metal. It turns out that they had become stronger after absorbing nirvana energy. Lin Dong grasped the demonic crystal as devouring power erupted from the center of his palm and directly devoured all the nirvana energy contained within, while the demonic crystal turned to dust and scattered. However, Lin Dong felt a little regretful that there was not much nirvana energy inside the demonic crystal and was merely a tiny sliver. Yet, if he devoured 1,000 or 100 demonic crystals at the same time, it would have a rather good effect. To think that these demonic beasts have such a use. After tasting the benefits of the demonic crystal, an excited look involuntarily surfaced in Lin Dong's eyes when he once again lifted his head to look at the scarlet-red demonic horde. At this moment, these ferocious demonic beasts seemed to have become round nirvana pills that were rolling around. If he was able to devour all the demonic beast crystals here, he would be able to produce at least 1,000 nirvana pills. This was a rather enormous figure. One should know that the amount of nirvana pills Lin Dong currently had was only slightly over 1,000. If he could devour these demonic crystals, his hoard of nirvana pills would double. Compared to painstakingly refining them, this was truly a shortcut to obtaining nirvana pills. Truly good stuff. When his thoughts reached this point, Lin Dong's foot pushed off the city wall as his body flew down from the city wall under Mo Ling and the rest's shocked gazes. A resplendent sun exploded from his body, and every time his fist swung, an astonishing Yuan power undulation erupted out. Scarlet-red demonic beasts were blown apart one after another by the formidable fist force when they approached the 1-foot radius around his body. Meanwhile, demonic crystals flew out one after another before being swept into Lin Dong's sleeve and instantly devoured, transforming into threads of fiery hot nirvana energy that coursed through Lin Dong's limbs and bones, causing the Yuan power in his body to become increasingly concentrated and powerful. The effect of this kind of cultivation during battle was truly delicious. When the crowd atop the city walls saw this scene, several of their expressions changed. This was not the first time they had killed demonic beasts, hence they naturally knew of the nirvana energy within the demonic crystals. Yet, they dare not charge into the demonic horde like Lin Dong. After all, they did not have the devouring ancestral symbol and thus could not instantly refine the demonic crystals, using the nirvana energy within to replenish the energy consumption of the body. Once they ran out of steam within the demonic horde, they would be immediately crushed until even fragments no longer remained. Therefore, they could only greedily watch Lin Dong's outrageous actions. On a high tower, Xie Huang watched Lin Dong display his might, as a sinister look flowed in his eyes, before he muttered in a low voice, "Brat, use all your strength to hunt for demonic crystals. When the demonic horde is over, I will let you understand that rewards of all your hard work will eventually be mine. My Saint Light Empire is the ruler of this gathering point, all if you are merely pill slaves that refine nirvana pills for us." This video will end here.